Hi everyone, this is Ants. Today I'm going to be showing you some updates I made to the out-of-the-box shadows within libGDX. So in summary, here are the following changes I've made to the shadows. One is I enabled normal bias to solve shadow acne problems on geometry that actually has variable slope, and I'm going to give you an example of that. And with shadow bias and now what I added normal bias, you could basically solve all your shadow acne issues. The other thing I implemented is different levels of percentage close filtering, so PCF, and I also added a very simple dithering to soften the edges of the shadows and adding some noise to the edge of the shadows. And by the way, PCF and the dithering of the shadow and the normal bias are all supported using Cascade Shadow Maps too. So in a way I did 6 modifications, right? So just keep that in mind. So let's talk about how to get good looking shadows in libGDX. First thing you can do is you crank up your shadow map size, right? And right now it's at 8K by 8K. And if you look at my FPS, it's only 380 FPS, right? And if you reduce the map size, my FPS goes up. Now it's at 660, but the actual quality of the shadows is getting less. And if you go even smaller, you know, I'm pumped up to over 800 FPS, but as you can see from these shadows, they look absolutely crap, right? There's some other things you can do to kind of cheat, and you can reduce the viewport size, right? And what I'm doing is, if you see those trees back here, is I'm actually reducing the amount of shadows casted and I'm bringing it closer to camera, right? And that allows kind of more pixels to be used for the stuff that you actually are casting shadows on, right? And this is the reason why I have an option here is put fog, right? So maybe I should just increase it a little bit to 10, and basically that's, you know, I don't need to see shadows in a tree that is obscured by fog. So this is the reason why I put fog here, is because now I'm allowing the developer to basically kind of tweak and say, you know what, I'm going to use the fog as a cheat so I can reduce the size of the viewport so that I get better looking shadows with the amount of size of my shadow map, right? So again, these are all the things that you can do to get half decent shadow maps. So the best thing, at least on my PC, again, every PC is different, is 4096 is half decent. So, you know, it's not great, but, you know, I've created a few other things to make it look a little better. One is straight up percentage close filtering. And what percentage close filtering does is it just takes more samples and kind of uses anti-aliasing to kind of average it out and all that kind of stuff, right? And if I go to the third level, it does it even more, right? And when you're passing by, they look pretty soft, but a lot of people do not like this anti-aliasing kind of artifact. They say, well, that's an artifact, but it's a lot better than like straight up like that, right? So again, this is all personal preference. I'm not telling you what to use. I'm just giving you the solution so that you could choose for yourself, right? But I created another way of actually dealing with kind of like these jaggies, right? Let's call them jaggies for now. Is you just dither. You turn on a fast dither, and this is a very fast dithering. So if I turn it on and off, 590 to 5, so 15 FPS out of like 600. Like that's actually a half decent cost for kind of, you know, the effect you're getting, right? And if you use PCF on this, it actually smooths it out even more, right? And so personally, under this kind of environment where it's kind of cartoonish, I actually like this. This is just my opinion. Again, if you don't think so, that's fine, but I'm just giving you an option. I'm not telling you kind of, you know, what's best and all that kind of stuff, okay? So what are the other ways of actually getting better shadows, right? So the other way is cascading shadow maps, right? So I'm going to go to 4096. My FPS is 400. It still has a major impact, but this casts shadows, like basically almost the entire viewable camera frustum, right? So that's great. And what it does is it uses multiple kind of maps, one for close, and they're called splits, and another one further away and another one further away. And as you can see, the further away shadows have less quality, but someone will not notice it as much as something close by over here. In addition to that, PCF works with cascading shadow maps, and also the dither also works too, right? So this is actually looking pretty good. And if you add them both together, that's a half decent looking shadow. Or if you don't think so, you just you don't have dither or all that. And you could also increase kind of like to 8K. So 8K with cascading shadow maps, I'm only getting 183. So nothing is for free. When it comes to shadows, nothing is for free. But in my opinion, you could get away with 4096 is half decent, and you could also get away with 2K and just put dither on, and you know, if someone's not really paying attention, then this may be okay. All right, let's talk about normal bias and shadow bias and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so believe it or not, there actually is no acne here because I'm at a half decent size shadow map. But if you go to a lower one, right? So if you go to 8K or 4K, you don't need to tweak anything, right? But if you have a small one, so this is more for Android development, or for if you're actually, you know, making sure that even low-end graphics hardware is supported. If you use a smaller map, you're going to get shadow acne. So how do we fix this? Now with normal bias, so shadow bias will not well, it will solve this, but you're going to get Peter Panning. So you don't want Peter Panning. This is called Peter Panning when you actually see the shadow not connected to the tree anymore, right? And by the way, when you go to 0, this is no shadow bias, and this is no normal bias. This is how, when you turn off shadow bias and normal bias and it's 0, this is no bias whatsoever, and this is how the shadows would be rendered. Absolutely horrible, right? So this is the reason why you want normal bias and shadow bias. But again, take your shadow bias to a point where you don't get Peter Panning, and then you have your normal bias, and you just melt it away. And now you're not going to have an acne problem again. This is Clearasil for libGDX. Anyhow, and also your FPS is half decent. It's only using a 2K, and so it would be half decent on Android. You could either dither. Actually, dither probably is not a good idea, but that's basically it. Doesn't look that bad. Or you could just crank it up and get 4K, and you're still getting 400. So that actually looks pretty good. Okay, so that's basically it. And so we're going to summarize everything that we kind of have here. What I've created here is basically a tool that will allow you to kind of tweak your shadows, and so that you produce an environment that you're not going to have any shadow acne. Also, your shadows don't look like crap. I gave you some options to make your shadows a little better, right? And gives you the option to use cascading shadow maps or just non-cascade, right? And you could dither them. You could show your fog. And again, this is all done. You could do it programmatically. That's not a big deal. But when you actually get it visually, you actually learn about how shadows work, right? So this is the reason why I created this. And then PCF, percentage close filtering, to make the shadows a little bit more soft, as you can see. So that's basically it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. And again, this is a fork of gdx-gltf, which means it's public. And I've contacted the owner of so MGSX, and I let him know, hey, you know, I could do a pull request and put this into the library. But I'm just getting a general sense that the community basically is, you know, they keep on saying, I keep on basically telling them, hey, we have to make things for 3D easier for newcomers to libGDX, because for them to get a grasp and get a handle and everything, and they start reinventing the wheel and all that kind of stuff. But basically say, well, libGDX is a framework, right? So basically what they're saying is they expect everybody to reinvent the wheel because it's a framework. It just gives you the scaffolding to do your own thing, and you could do anything you want. That's not really welcoming for newcomers, in my opinion, right? So, you know, this is one of the reasons why this is probably going to be my last video for libGDX. It's just basically, my mindset is try to make, either if even a framework or an engine, make it so that anybody can use it, right? Instead of just giving the bare bones and you could do anything you want with it. I think it's a lot of hours, hundreds of hours wasted for everybody kind of reinventing the wheel. So this is the reason why this is probably the last video I'm doing on libGDX. But I have some other projects that I actually do want to do a video on, like my 1600 FPS low poly infinite terrain. I might do a video on that. But anyways, thank you for watching. And again, yeah, better shadows for libGDX. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care. Bye.